Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Straight Talk with Joe Vlon. I am all glad you are here today. I tell you, it feels like I haven't been here forever. It feels... Excuse me. I'm going to try not to do that as much as possible, but unfortunately, it is very tough. It has been a week from hell with this cough. Last week, I could hardly talk. I know most people around me, they were pretty excited about that because they don't want to hear me all day long. But, you know, I literally could not say anything. So I am sitting here with my tea. I'm here going crazy. I'm watching, not only am I doing show prep, I'm also watching my fantasy football. As obviously, for those of you who play fantasy football, know that these are the crucial weeks coming up to the playoffs. And right now, I'm in quite a dilemma in my fantasy football because right now, as we speak, I'm up by 17 points, but my Dolphins are down by 6. And I'm playing against my brother Matt this week, and he has almost all the Dolphin players, from Tyreek Hill and everybody else in between. And I'm really nervous because I want them to score, but I don't want his players to score. So it's like I want the Dolphins to win. We need to win this week. And am I willing to sacrifice a loss on my fantasy football to accomplish that? And I am torn right now. So I'm hoping that the rest of my team will get their act together and get me up to enough points where I don't really have to worry about it. But like I said, if you're into fantasy football, that is the dilemma we all face on a weekly basis when it comes to, you know, our fantasy football teams going against a majority of our players from our favorite team. So, and of course, I had the San Francisco defense going against my Miami Dolphins. So, it is tough. But for all those who are new to the show, I am Joe Vlon. I am your host, your guiding light through all the craziness going on around us. And listen, we haven't seen each other since Thanksgiving. A little bit before Thanksgiving. So, first of all, I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Because I know I did. I went to my sister's house, and I know my sister now has COVID, I believe. So granted, she didn't give it to me. We've had the flu that has run rampant through this house, starting with Tucker. And then Tucker gave it to Aaron. Aaron gave it to me. And then apparently I gave it to Joseph. So everybody seemed to have their turn here. Some of us got it worse than others. I still ended up working every day. I just couldn't talk or really breathe for half the time. But I am here today. And, of course, this show, guys, take it easy on me today. So call in, 203-679-9610 if you want to be part of the show, because this show always works best when everyone is involved. And, of course, if you want to email us, straighttalkjv@gmail.com. You're always willing... You're always thankful to willing to go ahead and send it to our email. I'm always watching what's going on there. And, of course, if you're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all those in between, the social media, even Twitter, we're still on Twitter, by all means, you could go on and join the message boards. And I see you guys are all on there. So, again, let's get into what's going on around. Let's start with the city stuff. I think we'll go city, state, and then we'll do some federal stuff. And then we'll do some personal stuff at the end. So obviously everyone from the city of Meriden understands, we've been talking about the downtown traffic patterns that have changed this week. And while everybody is, really focused on the changes going on downtown as far as traffic-wise, I think we haven't really been talking about the real issues going on downtown. And, I joked about it when the city posted about, with Grove Street going opposite way, one way, that it was going to bring everybody, it was giving you easier access to the parking garage. And if you listen to what the mayor said and some city councilors who were noted in the paper a couple weeks ago, they said, this is to bring business downtown, this or that. And my comment on, and again, I caught some slack from some politicians in the city and some that had contacted me in private message, which I found friggin' absolutely hilarious. That, you know, telling me that I don't support downtown and that I'm an evil person, and that I, you know, I wish the worst on Meriden, which again I found hilarious. So with that said, I think we're all missing the major point of about what my beef is downtown. And again, my comment was that, oh, this is the end all be all. I hope that the businesses downtown are ready for the massive influx of new customers, because they're saying, well, no, we just need to change the traffic patterns to make it more inviting to come downtown. Okay, well, first of all, changing traffic patterns to making it easier to get into a parking garage, which nobody goes to, is going to somehow make everybody decide they want to come downtown. No, the problem is you don't have anything downtown, and you're not taking the steps needed to get things downtown. That is the problem I have. So yes, I make jest out of the fact that we're changing traffic and we're paving roads downtown. Therefore, that is the end all be all, and that everything's now okay. And that's far from the fact. And that's far from the fact that I find it funny that these same politicians that contacted me, letting me know how evil I was and that I was not rooting for the city of Meriden. I gotta say, you gotta be out of your mind. I was like, you guys are the ones that have control over what's going on downtown, not me. No, listen, I can sit here and do commentary on it, and I can sit there and decide what, you know, whether or not I believe what you're trying to do is, one, smart, two, justifiable, or three, going to be any kind of benefit to the city or to the taxpayers. And so far, everything we have seen happening downtown has been an absolute friggin' disaster. And now you can sit there and say that because of my comments that I'm not for Meriden, I'm not for downtown, I'm not for the taxpayers, that we all know that's bullshit. And you're just trying to deflect the failures of downtown to people like myself and everyone who agrees with me. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to pass blame for your failures of what you have done downtown, which has totally screwed the entire redevelopment up from the very start. And you're going to try to deflect that onto us because we're calling you out on your nonsense and of your stupidity? And we're the evil ones? Because you're trying. You've tried everything. And let's not even just talk about just downtown. Let's talk about the dispatch center. Let's talk about the CRB and what you're trying to do to our police department. Let's talk about all the racial divides you try putting in between us, the city residents, on a daily basis. Let's talk about that. But see, they don't want to have that conversation in public with me. Instead, they'll message me or they'll email me. And then, of course, they'll ignore my responses to them. It's absolutely hilarious. If you want, and listen, I understand. And I'm to the point where, I don't really care about who I piss off. Because I'll sit there and say, listen, I won't say I love. I like the people that we have on the city council as far as Republicans. And we the people. I'll go that far. Say we the people too. But I don't see anybody on the city council as in the opposition side, in the minority side, that has the balls to turn around and go after them. I really don't. I wish I could say I did. But I don't see any Republican or we the people that have the balls to sit there and actually fight these people. Everybody seems to want to just get along. And while that may be nice politically, it does nothing for the taxpayers of this city. They just walk all over them. Whether it's the racism is a public health crisis, whether it is any other major thing that we want to talk about, whether it's the budget. It's like we need people on the city council that is willing to turn around and make a stance and say, absolutely not. Here is why A, B, C, and D. We don't have that. And that's me being honest. Again, this is straight talking. Listen, I'm not here for any, I don't throw shade for anybody. We are in desperate times right now. Whether or not anybody wants to believe it or not, we are in desperate times. And right now, we need leaders that will stand up and say, hey, no. And listen, I understand they're outnumbered. I get it. But listen, Walter Shammack did it for decades. Sometimes being 11-1. And he stood up and he spoke out loud and clear about why he was voting no and why this was so wrong. And now listen, I know Dan Brunet comes out and says things and says, this is wrong, this is why. But again, it needs to be more forceful than that. And I think it needs to be more public than that. I don't see it during city council meetings. I don't see it during hearings. And I watch a majority of them. Because that's my job, to be able to bring it to you here. This city council, the majority on this city council are a bunch of far leftists who will stop at nothing to further their radical agenda. And then when you speak out against it, it is somehow your fault that they're not succeeding. And this is a prime example of that. Trying to revitalize a downtown based on public housing where they have no disposable income was a loser from the start. And for them to somehow try to blame us for it not working because we criticize it, because we look at the obvious and we use logic and common sense and statistics to prove their idiocy, that somehow, again, it's our fault. And it's not. The blame for everything going on in this city falls squarely at the feet of the Democratic Party. And I love that someone sent me that Democrats were having a victory party for all their wins at election time. And where were they having it? They were having it over at the doghouse, which I find ironic because isn't that the same doghouse that they just gave $150,000 to renovate? But if you own a business or you own a restaurant in this city, anywhere else, you got absolutely nothing. You got absolutely nothing. But their little headquarters there, which is really their unofficial headquarters, is the doghouse. Democrats gave them $150,000. And I can't say that because Republicans gave it to them also, which again is ridiculous. And whether it is right or wrong, or whether they can or can't not give it to them, just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's a staple of Meriden. When? They've only been around for 4 years. Before that, it was Quality Time. It's not the same owners. They can't say it's a staple of Meriden. There are a lot of staples of Meriden. Is Iliano's going to be able to throw money in there and say, hey, I want to renovate my place? They're a staple here in Meriden. Gianni's over there on East Main Street. Over there on East Main Street. They're a staple in Meriden. They've been here forever. Are they going to get it? Norax, are they going to get it? And I could name 1,000 different places here in the city of Meriden that would probably be worthy of it. And listen, I said it when Downtown Coffee Shop, one of my favorite places in the city. And when she said she had put in, I was the first one to to her face, no, you don't deserve this. And no, you shouldn't get it. Because a city should not be picking winners or losers. If you're going to give it to one restaurant, you got to give it to all of them. And why? Because they have political friends in the Democratic Party that probably wrote their thing for them and helped push it through, that they somehow get special treatment. Every single taxpayer in the city of Meriden should be up in arms with the fact that they got $150,000 and then are going to hold a victory party for Democrats. This is what people hate about politics. This is exactly it. It's disgusting. But this is how it is because you have so many uninformed people that vote that have no idea what's really going on. And it's an absolute shame. And it allows that these Democrats in the city feel that, and again, why wouldn't they feel this way? That they could do whatever they want. And no one's ever going to call them out on it, other than people like myself and people that watch this show. They're the only ones going to call them out. And they know that it's a minority of the people in the city of Meriden. They know that a majority of the city of Meriden that vote have no idea what's going on, nor do they care. They see a D next to their name, and therefore they vote for them. Of course not, Dan. They're not going to show up to meetings. They're not going to show up to council meetings because they all will say the same thing. We have a life to live, which is all fine and dandy. I get it. I get that we all have lives to live and we all have responsibilities that do not allow us to make council meetings, committee meetings, all that kind of good stuff. But damn, if you're going to friggin' vote, at least know what you're voting for. That's not too much to ask for. But again, you know, Pennsylvania was a prime example. You could put anything. You could put a pumpkin up for election with a D next to its name, and it'll probably win. At least have a very good shot at it. I mean, hell, they put a guy that has absolutely no idea where he is half the time or what to say in the presidency. Another one who can't even put sentences together as a U.S. Senator out of Pennsylvania. I fear we have gotten to a place in America where it no longer matters who is running, just a matter of, are you a D or are you an R? And I fear again that we've all pretty much went to our corners, and that's where we're at. And there really isn't anyone in the middle anymore. They may be an I or a U. And again, I said about the mayor. The mayor is a prime example of this. Who want to use the U as somehow as a get out of jail free card. The mayor loves to use, well, I'm unaffiliated. It's bullshit. You know it, I know it. If you look at everyone who he's endorsed, he's a Democrat. But he wants to use that unaffiliated label as a get out of jail free card to saying, hey, it wasn't me. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. I'm an unaffiliated. I don't caucus with them. But yet you support every one of them. Why? Because you disagree with them every once in a while? Hell, we have Republicans and we the people that, you know, people think are on the same team. They disagree with each other. They vote against each other and against each other's interests. But people like to still try to put them together. Listen, he doesn't even have to admit it anymore. It's a known fact. It's a known fact to us that are paying attention. But again, to the gullible and the uninformed, They actually believe that Kevin is somewhat of an unaffiliated, and he's not. He's just not. And I tell you what, whoever runs against him has to drill him on that every single time. And literally what I would do, I would take a poster board and literally put Kevin's name on it, unaffiliated, and everybody who he's endorsed since he's become unaffiliated. There's not a single Republican on that board. He has supported all Democrats, all which have socialist views. All. But again, it just shows, that the uninformed voters, he understands them. And a lot of politicians do. Because the Democrats in the city of Meriden understand that they will never be held accountable for anything. For anything. Because the council hides behind the mayor hides behind the you. And then at the end of the day, it's just a big, huge circle that keeps making the public and the taxpayer take it up the behind. They're the only ones that get hurt are the taxpayers every time. For them, it's just one big circle jerk. That's all it is. It's a reason why the council will never want to see a charter reform. And I tell you what, if one more friggin' Republican turn around to me and says, well, we can't have a charter reform when we don't own a majority of the council. We've never owned the majority of the council when we've done charter reforms. That's how we've gotten to this place. We have more Republicans on the city council now than we've had any time when we've done a charter reform. So please stop it with that nonsense. Do me a favor, man the fuck up and do the job you were elected to do. If you feel that we wouldn't be represented properly, then you should be the one going balls to the wall, making sure that we are. And if you see anything that's out of order, get to the online, get to social media, and actually say it. Stop hiding behind this nonsense of, well, we're outnumbered. We can't do this when we only have 4 out of 12. Winners never quit and quitters never win. And a winner never quits, no matter what. And I know a lot of these council people should be taken to social media. None of them really go on social media and say, hey, people, this is what's going on. I haven't seen anyone turn around and say, do you know what, let's have a town hall meeting. I bet if you had a town hall meeting in your district, people would show up. And you had it at a reasonable hour at 7 o'clock at night. Hell, we could do it here on the show. Have a city hall meeting, have a council meeting. You could go ahead and speak directly to the people. And again, you're more than welcome to call in. So I'll throw the number back up there. 203-679-9610. You have your public here. If you feel that there are injustices, you feel like things aren't going the way they should. But see, people don't come to the council meetings, Dad, because they know they're not going to get answers to anything. It's not like Wallingford, where you could actually have a conversation with your council. No one's coming to waste their time so they can sit there and speak for 3 minutes to be ignored while the counselors sit there and doodle on their laptops or on their phones or whatever, or whatnot. People aren't going to waste their time for that. People will waste their time. People will come online and have a discussion with their council people. They will do things like this, where the council will come on and say, hey, here's what I'm working on. Here's where I think we need to go. This is the problems we're having with the other side. and I want to make sure everyone's informed. Do you have any questions? And let people ask questions. I don't know why politicians are so scared of talking to the people they supposedly represent. I don't know why. I get it. There are going to be some that speak absolute nonsense and are going to talk about things that really have no effect by the city council. But a majority of people really want to speak to their representatives and have a conversation. And in today's world, that should be so easy. And people should have so much access to our representatives. But the thing is, most people, most politicians know they don't have to answer to you. They don't have to. If we had a society that was actually informed and actually cared about what was really going on, council people would be on here every week. They would be on here every week. And not just talking about city issues. I'm talking about state. Look at it. For the state, you have the state highway, you have the highway tax that's set to take effect January 1st. Now, does anyone remember during the debate, and they wouldn't let me respond to it because I wanted to call bullshit on it to begin with. She said that, and my opponent, who is now going to be a state senator come January 1st, she said, oh, well, this is only for large tractor-trailer trucks. I want to turn around and say, what are you talking about? No, it's not. It's for any truck. It's for any single truck. Any commercial truck that weighs 24,000 gross pounds or more get hit with this tax. And for tractor-trailer trucks, 18-wheelers, it's at 10 cents to 17 cents a mile. If you don't think that your gas prices are going up, because remember, everything that you get delivered to your stores, to the gas stations, are all run by tractor-trailer trucks. And here's the point I was making. We had an association meeting for commercial truck drivers. It's one of the associations I belong to as a business owner, and one who obviously has commercial trucks and have heavy trucks that will obviously be affected by this. And every politician turned around and said, well, no, this is going to affect, 60%, 70% is going to be outside drivers. Does anyone realize that there is no way to actually regulate this tax to outside the state drivers? And here's why. In order to pay this tax, you have to actually register with the DRS, with the Department of Tax Revenue. So you actually have to sign up online. Now, if you are from this state, you're already in their system. So therefore, you just have to go in there and make a quick thing. If you don't register as a trucking company in the state of Connecticut, they will know because you're already in the system because you get tax decals every single year. So you're already in the system. So you're forced to get in there. Now, if you go to Walmart and you get these trucks that are coming from Arkansas and they're just going through the state, how are you going to know? Again, and first of all, and again, my opponent loved to use the Amazon trucks. Just so you know, Amazon trucks are all privately owned small businesses that actually are contracted by Amazon to freight their products back and forth. Now, if they're a company from New York and they're going to Massachusetts and they just go through the state, how do we know whether or not they're registered or not? We don't. Unless you're pulled over. And not pulled over by the state police. Because listen, the state police do not care about tractor trailers. do not care about tractor trailers. Now, if the DOT, if the DOT police, the commercial enforcement pull you over, they work for the Department of Motor Vehicles. They have no jurisdiction on whether or not you are registered with the Department of Revenue Services. So if you're an out-of-state truck driver and you get pulled over by the DOT police and they ask you, are you registered? First of all, they're not going to ask you because they have no authority to ask you that. Their job is to make sure that your vehicle is safe on the roadways. That is their only job. So any out-of-state truck driving company who is not registered with the Connecticut Tax Department is not going to be paying this tax. This is going to be strictly paid by Connecticut businesses and Connecticut truck driving companies. And it doesn't matter whether you drive on the highway or not, because I don't know anybody who is going to sit there and get their miles from the time they get on the highway to they get off the highway. It is, here's how many miles you went, here's your amount of taxes you're going to pay. This is such a bad deal for truck driving companies in the state of Connecticut, and therefore is a horrible policy for every taxpayer and citizen for the state of Connecticut, because you are going to pay for every one of those taxes. Again, it's a hidden tax. And when we go up on our products, when we go up on prices on our products, do you know what the state's going to say? Well, it's not our fault. Go talk to them. Why are they raising your cost for? It's for them to turn around and say, we're greedy, because they want to portray us business owners as the greedy ones and wipe any responsibility away from themselves. That is the way it works. It is a hidden tax on each and every citizen in the city, in the state of Connecticut. And they will try to pin you against us, because I guarantee you, prices on fuel, prices on goods and services are going to go up. It has no choice. We're not going to take the hit. We're already being stretched enough, because this is even the only highway use tax that we have to pay. We pay a federal one every single year to use the highways. And now we'll get hit again on the state side. Someone has to pay for that. And it certainly isn't going to be the trucking companies. And again, when that crap starts hitting the fan, they're going to come, I guarantee you already, the politicians are going to say, that's just greedy corporations trying to make an extra buck. Well, it's us trying to pay the new fees you've given us. And again, the uninformed will fall right for it. So, again, these are things that you guys will know, obviously, going forward, because you are informed. Listen, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen with tolls. And it's a good point, Pat. Listen, you already know that tolls are coming, because if you watch debates, you already know that both of our new state rep and our new state senator are all for tolls. They're all for it. And I can tell you exactly how that's going to play out, Pat. Here it is. Here's my prediction. Call it for what it is. Again, I've only been wrong once. But here's how it's going to play out. They're going to institute the highway use tax. No one's going to pay it. I can guarantee you now, no one's really going to pay it. Because this is all on the honor system. It's all on the honor system. So when we go into the state website and state how many miles we drove, I can guarantee you nobody's putting in the correct mileage on it. And there's no way for them to tell. So they can't even audit it. It's impossible for them to audit. But they could try. So no one's going to pay that. So they're going to see the revenue from that as a total bust. So they're going to sit there and say, well, you know, we have to pay for these roads. Now, again, not to mention, like we did before, the state of Connecticut pays 9 times the national average per mile for maintenance of our roads. So let's not try to figure that out, okay? Forget about it. They're politicians. They don't want to try to figure that out because that's all their buddies getting their payoffs. So someone has to pay for these roads. Who is it going to be? Well, it's going to be you. It's going to be the taxpayer. It's going to be any driver. And what's going to happen is they're going to say, well, we tried doing it without tolls, but we just couldn't make enough money. So therefore, we have to put tolls out. And that's exactly how it's going to be. That's exactly how it's going to be. They're going to put tolls up on the highway because they're going to use the excuse that and what they've tried before. Now, don't think that they're going to get rid of the highway use tax. They're not. They're going to keep that still, but they're just going to add the tolls in on top of it. And that's how they're going to make their money. That's how they're going to make their money. Because that's how politics works. That's how politicians think. We can't cut spending. We just got to find new and inventive ways of making new revenue streams without the people, without actually going directly to the people. And again, tolls is going to be their last resort. They'll try every little thing in between that you don't see. They'll hit us on the back end because they don't want you to see the tax. That's why they got rid of the 25-cent gas tax, because that's the one everybody knows. But nobody knows about the gross receipts tax that is hit per gallon to us before it even leaves the terminal. So everyone that thinks that there are no taxes on gasoline right now is wrong. Is wrong. There's still it comes out to about 24 cents per gallon of gasoline that leaves the terminal. But you don't know about it, therefore you don't think about it. The only one you actually know about is the 25 cents. And that's the one they magically took away from you. So you don't have to see it anymore until the end of December. But they didn't tell you that there's still a tax on there that you just don't see. That only we as businesses see. It is the funny game they love to play. That if you out of sight, out of mind. But at the same time, you're taking it up the behind. They should never bring back the 25-cent gas tax. At all. That should be gone forever. It's the same promises they made when they brought in the income tax. Well, we're bringing in the state income tax so we don't have to have the sales tax. And now you have both. It's a game of words. But again, they know as soon as they implement them, people will get used to them, and uninformed people will vote them back in. They're never held for the consequences of their actions. They're just not. That's why I love when people say, oh, there's systemic racism in this state. Okay, well, who's run this state for 35 years? Oh, okay. Then who's to blame for it? It certainly isn't Republicans. So you're bitching about it. And you really believe that there is. But yeah, who are you voting for? Oh, okay, you're voting for the same idiots. Okay, I'm sorry. My fault. But that is the reality we live in, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we're up against. That's what we have to fight with every single day. And I tell you, it's a never-ending battle. And it's frustrating sometimes, I know. But we cannot stop fighting, though. And no matter how many times we lose, no matter how many times we feel defeated, we must keep moving forward. We must keep moving forward. You know, people always ask, you know, Joe, how do you keep, you know, why do you run for office knowing that you're probably going to lose? And like I say, I tell people all the time, it's about getting the message out, and hopefully we're reaching more and more people every time. It's not going to be a sprint. People aren't going to magically wake up and say, oh my God, what a mess. It's done a little bit at a time, unfortunately, because people start to see one or two things every election cycle. It's just the way it is. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. If you're a Republican in the city of Meriden, in the state of Connecticut, I always say you have to work 10 times harder than your opposition because they have the uninformed voters on their side that know nothing else other than, oh, free shit? Okay, I'm taking it. Oh, they're giving me free stuff. You want me to work? No, I don't want to do that. That's the reality we live in. And those type of attitudes and that type of mentality are rewarded by Democrats because they need you to be dependent on them. They want you to be dependent on them because then they know that you will vote for them every single time. If you notice, where do all the Democrat votes come from? They come from the poorest sections of our city. Now, again, let's have a little real talk here, because again, I'm not one to shy away from the truth. And again, it has nothing to do with race, religion, or anything, because there's just as many poor white people than black people and Hispanic people. But poor people get offered free stuff. And therefore, their only recommendation, their only requirement is to vote Democrat. And that's what they do. And that's what they do. Because if they don't vote that way, they feel like everything's going to be taken from them. Or they're going to be required to do something for it. Which is, it's true. They would be required to do something for it. Because it's not meant to be something you live off of. State assistance, federal assistance is used as a safety net. And it has limitations on it. And it has time restrictions on it. But again, Democrats want to make you feel like you're a victim. You're a victim of the system. A system they created. Again, so for all the people that live in the inner city, if you vote at John Berry, if you vote at Community Towers, that 3-1 vote for Democrats over Republicans. You cannot tell me, you cannot bitch to me that things aren't getting better for you if you keep voting the same way. Because you are voting for your own demise. You are voting to be left where you are because they need you to stay where you are. Which is why they're always offering handouts. You're always a victim of society, of evil people, of whether it's based on your race, based on your financial stability. There's always someone else to blame. Republicans don't want you to look at yourself as a victim. Republicans want you to know that there are better days coming if you just put the work in to help yourself. And we will be right there by your side to help you get further in life. We want to use our state resources, our federal resources, as a way to help you get out of poverty. Not just a way to have you treading water. Because if you're treading water, you're not moving forward. And you'll be stuck in that position for the rest of your life. And that's the big difference between what Democrats want and what Republicans want. But it's up to them to decide when is enough for them. And apparently it wasn't enough yet. Maybe tolls will be the answer. Maybe tolls being talked about again will get people fired up and ready to go to sit there and vote these people out. I think you have a governor. Oh, by the way, I will say this. You know, it's not very often. In fact, I forgot to put it on my list of things. I will say this. Listen, I've run for office, for state office twice now. One back in 2016 and then this one here. I will say this. I've never gotten a letter from the governor. Ever. In fact, I don't think anything. And I did get a letter from the governor this time. And it was a very nice letter. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm not going to read any of it, to be completely honest. I am going to frame it, though. Because I will say this. While me and him do not agree politically at all, I will say this. It was a classy move. He basically sent me a handwritten letter basically thanking me for running. And he said that we had some good issues that we were running on and that he would like to further those. And he said, although, you know, the election didn't work out in our favor the way we wanted, that he hopes that we'll stay engaged and work with them to help further some of our agenda. And I will sit there and say this. That is a first. So I will sit there and say thank you to Governor Lamont. It was a classy move. I hope he's sincere in it because I did end up sending him an email back because he ended up leaving his email address on it, asking if I had anything to respond back to him. And I did. And I responded back with thank you for the letter. It was very gracious of you. And it was, you know, and I appreciate it very much. And again, I hope that we can work on things such as police accountability bill, which was brought up. Police accountability bill does need tweaking. And if there is going to be a task force set up, yes, I would like to be on it. Because I believe that is essential to helping our police department do their job and to help fight crime that is out of control. So that is the kind of stuff that politicians should be doing. Should be doing. And again, I do think that that it was a great letter, and again, I appreciate it for it. As far as my Mr. Hanson, did you send a letter to your opponent? No, I'm not going to send a letter to my opponent or a phone call to my opponent. Again, my opponent is going to be a disaster, and she's already proven it. She's going to be an absolute disaster for this district. And again, time will show that to be true. There is not a single thing, a single stance that my opponent has any kind of sense on what's really going on in this district. None. She has absolutely no idea. She is not in it for any of the constituents here in the city. She's in it strictly for her union, and that's it. So until she shows me otherwise, that's where I'll stand on it. But she is not deserving of either. But again, to the governor, I do thank you. I am going to get it. I am going to get the letter. Actually, I will frame it, and I'll put it in the back here. Because again, I think it's not straight out of Susie's playbook. No congratulations. And I do wish my best to her. Even though I know it's going to fall, that falls on deaf ears, but I don't sit there and follow anybody's playbook other than my own. And again, I will never shy away from the truth. She's a horrible candidate. She's still a horrible candidate. And she has absolutely no idea what's going on. She never did. And I tell you what, Craig, until about 6 months ago, you probably didn't know who she was either. So, but you can keep defending her. It's okay. She's more than welcome on the show, though. She wants to come on and she can sit there and state her facts as she starts her career here. We'll see what happens. But what else we got going on here? Obviously, we haven't talked about it at all. This whole Twitter thing. Now, again, I'm not a big Twitter guy. I just find the whole thing to be, I don't know, kind of annoying. The whole tweeting thing. But I will say this: Elon Musk. Just think about this, ladies and gentlemen. He's fired 75% of the Twitter staff, and they have not skipped a beat on anything going on. In fact, they've made it 10 times better. Now, again, I still don't go on Twitter all that much just because, again, I find it annoying. But no one could deny that the tweets that came out and all the information that came out about the FBI meeting with, where was that? The FBI meeting with big tech every week, and sometimes on a daily basis, sending them tweets to remove. Anyone who doesn't see collusion there is absolutely being disingenuous. You know, all those times they kept saying, you know, Trump was colluding with this one, Trump's colluding with this one, all of them unfounded, all of them actually proven to be unfounded, whether you look at Jeff Dunham, whether you look at, what's his name from the, holy crap, now I skipped my mind. The special counsel, Mueller, the Mueller report, found no collusion. But now we do have actual evidence of collusion. And Democrats don't want to touch it. We actually know there was collusion to hide the Hunter Biden laptop that everybody knew from the beginning was verifiably his. And Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all these in between remove posts that referred to it. Of course, all of them have now come out and said, oh, no, it was absolutely true. when even voters say that if they knew about it, they would have voted differently. That is what's going on. So for all these people that sit there and say, ban Twitter, ban TikTok, get rid of TikTok because of the Chinese and everything, I always sit there and I laugh. And I sit there and I go, well, name one thing that China's doing that the United States government does not do on a daily basis. That these large corporations don't do on a daily basis. They all do the same thing. They all do it. But somehow I'm supposed to trust the United States government over the Chinese government. I think they're all the same. One and the same. And China, the way they do cybercrime, they'll grab our information anyways. So I'll enjoy my TikTok. It's absolute craziness to me. And then when Apple threatens to take Twitter off the App Store, CBS News decides that they can't sit there and tweet anymore because they don't know whether or not it's going to be corrupted or not. I was like, come on, people. Are you freaking kidding me right now? But I will tell you this. I hope Apple does pull Twitter because Elon Musk has already said that he will actually create his own phone. And I tell you what, I'll take anything that Elon Musk is doing right now. I wonder if he ever gets sick of winning. I wonder. Because, I mean, literally everything he touches, and again, I don't know. I don't think he's human. Either that, he's made a hell of a deal with the devil. He must have made a hell of a deal. Because he strikes gold every time he does something. Whether it's PayPal, whether it's SpaceX, whether it's Tesla, whether it's now Twitter. Everything he touches turns to gold, except for cryptocurrency, which really pisses me off. I won't buy a Tesla. I won't buy an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I like my gas vehicles. I'll stick with that. I don't like the fact that I have to plug it in order for it to run. Elon for mayor of Meriden. Elon for president at this point. I mean, why not? What? I mean, again, we'll talk more presidential politics next week, but I think more and more DeSantis is going to run. I actually believe it. I actually believe that DeSantis is going to run. And I think it's going to be quite interesting how this all plays out with Trump and DeSantis. I don't know. We'll see what happens as we get a little bit closer. But I think the more I hear, I hear DeSantis. I believe he's going to make a run for president this year, or well, in 2 years. So, but we'll talk about all that kind of stuff next week. We didn't even get into FTX. So I am a huge, I've been forever I've been anti-crypto since I can imagine. And I still blame my brother. For me getting into cryptocurrency. I have always said it since the moment Bitcoin came on the scene, to Dogecoin, to all those in between. I always said that I would never, ever buy cryptocurrency. And then Elon Musk decided that he was going to back Dogecoin. And my brother was just peppering me with all these things on cryptocurrency, this, that, and in fact, I did a show on it. And I decided to buy cryptocurrency on Dogecoin. I ended up buying Dogecoin. I spent thousands on cryptocurrency. And I bought it when it was 67 cents a share. It was just before Elon was going on Saturday Night Live and all this kind of stuff, I thought, you know what? If he mentions it, if he just mentions cryptocurrency with Dogecoin, it's going to go up. And then I could sell it. And I I spent, I guess I'll say, I spent about $7,000 on Dogecoin. That's what I bought. I bought $7,000 worth of Dogecoin. And that's at 67 cents. Like right now it's again, now I don't do things for short term. Especially if I take a hit. I'm at 10 cents a share now. So I'm at 10 cents a share from 67. And I hate my brother on a daily basis for it. So, Paul, if you're listening, I still hate you. Don't worry about it. Still pissed at you about it. Because I knew that cryptocurrency could never survive. Because there is no way it would be widely accepted by governments around the world. And it could never, since it's non-regulated, it would fall into scams like what FTX did. And basically what FTX did was take billions of dollars. So obviously people who bought cryptocurrency, they used him as a brokerage firm. And he was making all this money because cryptocurrency was on its way up. And he was using all that money that he was getting from people. Again, a lot of celebrities too, and a lot of hedge funds, which again blows my mind how hedge funds were given hundreds of millions of dollars to a 30-year-old kid without researching what they were doing. That blows my mind. But he was given tens of millions of dollars to Democrats. And I'm taking it, those are mostly probably their supporters that were saying, hey, he's giving money to them, therefore we'll give money to him. It's, well, again, one big circle jerk back and forth. That's how politics works. The money just goes around and around in a big circle. So he was using that money to fund his other businesses. But then cryptocurrency started going down. And it flatlined. And he wasn't making that money anymore. Now, he didn't have the money to give back to people when they wanted to take it out. And that's how you go from $30 billion to $1 billion. And then he went bankrupt. But again, he's not hurt. And you notice that he's not going to jail. He's not going to go to jail at all for this. He's going to sit there in the Bahamas, drinking his pina coladas, sitting there on the beach with the money he had stashed away. And since he was giving money to Democrats, you haven't seen a single House hearing on it. Now, you probably will come January, when Republicans take over. But you're not going to see this kid go to jail. No one's going to be held accountable for this. Because this is what happens when you buy influence. This is what happens when you buy off enough politicians. It's crazy, but it's true. And this again, you want to talk about class warfare and having two Americas, as John Edwards and John Kerry used to love to talk about the two Americas. This is it. There's those that could pay for influence by politicians and those who can't. And if you could buy politicians, no matter what you do to the people, again, there are going to be millions of people around the world that is going to be screwed by this guy. And is going to be a lot of their money and their wealth is going to be gone. Now, again, do I have sympathy for these people? No, I don't. Because obviously people didn't check into it. Because, I mean, it took this company. So they're about to be bought out. And I know we're running over our normal time here. So they were going to be bought out by one of their rivals. It literally took them less than 24 hours to realize what the hell was going on here. And they backed out. It took them less than 24 hours. You're trying to tell me these hedge funds that are worth billions of dollars didn't do their research? This company, it took 24 hours for them to realize that this whole thing was a scheme. and hedge funds poured hundreds of millions of dollars, threw billions of dollars at them. And a lot of people lost everything. But we'll leave it at that. Obviously, one more thing. Excuse me. One more thing I want to leave before we leave. Obviously, we've been talking about, unfortunately, passings too often on this show lately. And for most people who are on social media, literally, if you're from Meriden, you know of Steve Savio. And his passing was a shocker to, I think, everybody. I know we talked about Jason Frederick last month, tragic as that was too. This one, again, is just as tragic and just as unexpected. And we have to live each day like it's our last. And I try to make sure I tell people as much as I possibly can that I do love them every time I hang out with them, especially family members, because you never know when it's your last time. And I was away last month when Steve called me and left me a voicemail saying to call me back as soon as I could. And I never did get that chance to talk to him. And I look back at that now after I heard what happened. And I think, one, obviously, what did he need? What did he need to talk about? It's not like me and Steve talked on a regular basis. I mean, I saw Steve every time I was at Doug's house. Every time I went to Thurston's house, he was there. When we go places, fishing or whatever, Steve and his daughter Avery were always there. But it comes as a shocker to me that of his passing, and I wish the best for his family and especially for Avery. If no one's ever met his daughter, she's an absolutely terrific girl. I know she lost her grandmother a month ago. I hope she comes out of this stronger, knowing that, again, her dad loved her more than anything in this world. And know that, he loved his friends just as much, and he was bigger than life. Now, again, I haven't lived in Meriden my whole life, so there aren't many people in Meriden that I make connections with that last. And Steve Savio obviously was one of those that did, because I think me and Savio are basically out of the same cloth, where, he's very smart, he's very cunning, and he always makes a joke out of everything. And again, it just being around him just makes you smile. And again, he never held back on things he wanted to say. And I loved it. I respected it. I thank every day that I had the opportunity to meet him and to hang out with him. And it's sad to really see him go. There is a GoFundMe page for him that is online. And I don't know if I can share it here, because for some reason my thing doesn't let me share, unfortunately. But if you go to GoFundMe, it's set up by Kelly Cookson. So if you want, after we're done, I'll post it on. I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna post it on my page. I just posted it on my personal page, and I'll try to post it here on a page I manage. Oh, thank you, Sean. And I just posted on the Straight Talk page also. So obviously, you know, when you lose two people in less than a month, you know, finances get tough. So if you could help out, it'd be greatly appreciated. Sean just put it there in the message box. It's also on my personal page and on the Straight Talk page. So please go there. But, you know, rest in peace, Steve. I mean, you're an amazing guy. And I give best wishes to your family again and to your amazing young daughter, Avery. We wish you the best, and we'll see you on the other side there, brother. With that said, I will also see you guys next week. So until next time, guys, as always, I love each and every one of you. Again, live today like it's your last. Make sure you let the people that are close to you know how much you love them and care for them. Because I think, Isabel, you're right. Tomorrow is never promised. So just make sure you communicate with those that you love and let them know that that's how you feel. Until then, guys, I love each and every one of you. Until next week, I will see you all later.
Emanation and a million faces formed together, made for elevation. I'm a soldier, won't surrender faith. This like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath. When you pry it from the cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder, magic, static. Call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping and the shadows could be making history.